Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Bobbles and Berries podcast. If you're new here, my name is Ode, and I'm coming to you from Edinburgh in Scotland. And if you are a returning viewer, then welcome back. It is lovely to have you here, as always, on this absolutely horrible day today. It's very gloomy, it's rainy, it's windy, it's dark. I come to you with a bit of a special episode. I basically, since the last time I recorded a podcast, went to 3 yarn festivals or wool related events. And during those events, I acquired a fair amount of yarn. And so I thought that rather than have a really long acquisition section in my next podcast, I would film a dedicated episode. I also know that acquisitions are not for everybody, so that makes it easy. If it's not your thing, just don't watch that episode. And and I have a bunch of yarn to show you, and I have also plans for that yarn, or for most of the yarn anyway. I also have a couple of questions and a couple of bits where I would love your advice. So yeah, let's get going. So like I said, I went to 3 yarn festivals or wool events. The first one was right after I recorded my last podcast. It was at the very beginning of September, and it is the Scottish Yarn Festival, which is being held in Perth every year in autumn, in early September. It is one of my favorite festivals. It is the biggest one in Scotland. There's lots and lots of vendors. There's lots of talks as well, which are always super interesting. And yeah, I was really excited to go. It's also a great place. A lot of people actually go to that. In addition to vendors, a lot of people that I know from Instagram but haven't met in person. A lot of podcasters go as well. So it's really nice to meet people. Just to meet people and have a really good day with yarny friends and hang out and buy yarn and talk about all things knitting and crochet and wool and all of this. So yeah, that was absolutely great. I had a wonderful time as always. And I bought a bit of yarn there. So the first yarn that I bought is actually from a vendor, a vendor called the Wool Library. They were selling yarn there, but their main thing that they do is it's a project where the whole point is to try and regenerate. Let me look at my note. Regenerate the wool industry in Great Britain. And so, they're looking at basically creating a network of all the people involved with wool, from the farmer who has the sheep to us knitters, or fashion brands who might use wool to make garments and things like that, and then everyone in between, like the mills and everyone involved. And it is such a wonderful project. Like the wool doesn't have much value anymore, and definitely doesn't have the value that it used to have, and they're trying to sort of bring this back. They're also, what I was really interested in is that they're also doing a lot of research into the various British breeds, and looking at each breed and each kind of wool that each breed produces, and what are the properties of those wools, and how it could be used for garments or maybe not, and what are, is it soft, is it not soft, is it durable, is it not, all things like that, which I personally find very, very interesting. So rather than go on and try and explain what they do, which I'm not going to be able to, I will link their website below, and I really, really encourage you to go and have a look. I will also link their Instagram, because they post really interesting things on Instagram as well. And so I went to the talk. There was a talk, they did a talk there, which I absolutely loved. And then they also had a little booth where they were selling some of the yarn that they were talking about. And the star yarn of the festival, the one that they were talking about a lot at that festival, was Cheviot. And I don't think I have used Cheviot before, or if I have, it was maybe in one of those yarns that I said are 100% wool, but they don't tell you exactly what kind of wool is in it. So yeah, I don't know that I have used Cheviot before. And so I was really interested in it, and yeah, they were talking all about that wool, and then they were selling some just 100% Cheviot yarn to knit, but they were also selling blends of Cheviot and other things to make sock yarn. And so this is what I got. Those are non-superwash, no nylon sock yarn, and as you know, that's something I'm really interested in exploring at the moment. And these are the two skeins that I got. I hope it will focus. I have a little bit of a new setup where I'm trying to use the back camera of my phone so the quality is better, but I'm not seeing everything that I'm doing, so I hope things focuses. I'm also trying out a new mic, which I hope is going to work. It is the second time I'm recording this video because the first time around the mic, I had another mic which turned out to be defective, and yeah, the sound was rubbish, and I found that halfway through editing, so yeah, that was a bit frustrating. Had a little cry, and then put the podcast aside for a minute, and then ordered a new mic and came back to it. So hopefully this time it works. Anyway, coming back to the yarn. So these are two sock yarn of very interesting blends that I didn't know and didn't have before. So this really nice peachy one is made of 70% cheviot and 30% nettle, which again, haven't used before, and I'm really interested to try and knit with it, see how it feels like to knit with that, and also see how it wears. And the second one, this beautiful green one, is 70% cheviot and 30% soy, which I'd never heard of before. I'd heard of nettle, even though I'd never tried it, but I'd never heard of soy. So I'm really looking forward to trying this. These are both 4-ply and 100 grams and about 400 meters. So what you would expect for a sock yarn. And so yeah, I'm wondering if you've seen my previous episode and the other no nylon, non superwash yarn that I've tried, a few of them have mohair in it, which makes them really, really warm, which is great for winter, but I find them too warm to wear in the spring or in early autumn and things like that. I wonder if these, because they contain plant fiber in addition to the wool instead of mohair to like strengthen it, I wonder if they're going to be a bit less warm because plant fiber is not as warm as wool, and if they're going to be better for me to wear in like spring and autumn. So yeah, to be continued. I will keep you posted. I don't really have any ideas. I don't know exactly what kind of socks I'm going to knit with it. I'd like to do pattern socks. I kind of want to try the Petal Drop sock by Florence Miller of Handmade by Florence, so that might be one of them. And then the other, I don't know, we'll see when I get there what I feel inspired to knit. But yeah, so that was the first acquisition at the Scottish Yarn Festival. The second acquisition is a very exciting one. A few days before the festival, Eva, who organizes everything and does an absolutely brilliant job, announced that she was going to have her very own yarn for the first time, and that was so exciting. All the wool used in that yarn is comes from Scotland, and then it's spun in northern England. And she was showing some of the colors that she had, and it looks absolutely beautiful. And I was like, I want to try it. I absolutely want to try it. And so this is what I got. I'm going to show you the skein first, and then I'll tell you all about the details. Ooh, there you go. So it is, I picked a nice neutral, sort of like light brown color, which I absolutely love. All the colorways are named after Scottish clans. So this one is called Baird, I think. I don't know, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. There you go. And so this yarn is made of 80% Shetland and 20% Cheviot. 4-ply, 100 gram, about 350 meters, so a bit of a thicker fingering weight yarn. Slow grown in Scotland, mill spun in Yorkshire, transformed by you. I love it. They had 4-ply and DK. Because I wasn't really sure what I was going to make with it, I went for the 4-ply because I figured if I want to do something DK, I can just hold it double. And yeah, I don't know exactly what pattern I'm going to use for that, but I know that I would like to make mittens. So yeah, if you have a favorite mitten pattern that you would like to recommend, please leave it in the comment below. But yeah, I want to make mittens, also because I want to try it out. Like I said, this contains this contains Shetland wool and Cheviot. I know that Shetland is very comfortable for me. I don't find it itchy at all. Cheviot, once again, I haven't really tried it, or maybe I have, but I don't know. So I thought I would get one skein, make some mittens or something, so I can try it on my wrist, because that's, I guess, the most sensitive part of my body in terms of wool, even though I'm not really sensitive to wool. See how it wears, and or if I find it itchy or not, which I don't think I will, to be honest. And probably get a sweater's quantity of it. They had a really nice sort of like navy blue that was slightly heathered, which I absolutely love, and I could see myself making a Elizabeth blouse with that by Petite Knit. So we'll see. And yeah, and I saw on Instagram the other day, Eva did a little poll asking if people would be interested in purchasing that yarn in 500 grams cones. And well, if you know me, you know I'm not going to say no to a cone. So yeah, maybe she will do that. That would be very exciting. But we'll see. Yeah, so that was the second acquisition. At the Scottish Yarn Festival. Sorry, I feel like I realized I'm looking up a bit. I have a like little mirror that allows me to see the screen of my phone to see what I'm filming, and so I feel distracted. So I'm going to try and look into the camera. Third acquisition is from a vendor that or like a yarn maker, a wool maker, that wool producer that I know of, that I followed on Instagram for quite a while, but I'd never seen in person, and that is Uist Wool. So they're located in Uist, which is in Scotland in the outer Hebrides, and they make beautiful wool, and I've been wanting to try it out for a while and then never really got around to ordering from their website, and then I saw that they were going to be at the Scottish Yarn Festival, and so I was really excited. And this is what I purchased from them. This beautiful unspun yarn. It's a light grey, it's got little bits of darker grey and black, and it is really, really nice. It is very soft, and I purchased this to make let me see what it's called. The Liebling Neck Warmer by Camilla Vad. I will put a picture on the screen. For Kyle. Kyle has asked for some sort of like neck warmer, dicky kind of thing. So I purchased this for him. I have never used unspun, and so I figured that would be a nice like small project to try it out. And if I don't really like the end result, it's for Kyle, and he doesn't really care. Like, I'm a bit more of a perfectionist when it comes to my knits, because I understand how they're made and how they should be. He doesn't get that, obviously, so because he doesn't knit or anything like that, and he's very happy with whatever he gets. So I thought making something for him would be a very good way to try out some new yarn. I need your help though with this. I have 4 plates. I have 4 plates of this yarn, and that is, let me get my notes, that is 238 grams. The pattern calls for about 200 meters of bulky yarn. It's knit on 6mm needle and 5.5 for the ribbing, with a gauge of 13 stitches per 22 rows. So if the pattern calls for 200 meters of bulky yarn, and I have 238 grams of this, which I'm planning to hold double, do I have enough? I'm really struggling to figure out how to sort of convert like spun yarn, like the requirement in a pattern, with unspun. So I would very much love your advice if you have used unspun yarn before. Do you think that 238 grams of unspun held double is enough for a pattern who calls for 200 meters of bulky yarn? I have a bit of I have some light gray fingering weight yarn that I could use if I need an extra strand. So yeah, please let me know, because I really don't know what I'm doing. If not, I'll just knit, and then I'll just start knitting, and then I don't know, we'll figure things out as I go. But yeah, I would love your advice if you have any. So yeah, that was my third and last acquisition of at the Scottish Yarn Festival. Again, it was a great time. Went with met with a lot of friends. Saw a lot of beautiful wool, and now I'm very excited to have all those nice projects to work on. Moving on to the second event I went to, and that second event is not as much of a yarn festival as it is a whole week event centered around wool and knitting, and that is Shetland Wool Week. I've talked about that in my previous episodes, that I was planning to go there. I was planning to go to Shetland and then go to Wool Week and, take part, I guess. And I also did a vlog about that, which, by the way, thank you so much. If you have watched this vlog, the response has been so nice. Lots of comments from you guys. It's been super kind and super lovely, and yeah, thank you so very much. I really enjoyed doing that vlog, and while this is not going to become a vlog channel, I'm definitely going to film a few more vlogs, especially when I'm traveling. And yeah, so thank you for that. I'm not going to go into all the details of what I did while I was on Shetland, but I did acquire quite a fair amount of yarn. And so I will, and for a specific project, and so I will share that with you right now. I've talked about this in my vlog already, so you may, if you've watched the vlog, you've probably heard that already, so feel free to skip to the next section if you don't want to hear it again. All right, let's start with, let me put some yarn out of the way. So one of the first places that we went to was Jameson's of Shetland, and there I bought yarn for two projects. The first one is, sorry, I have everything sort of within reach, but it's an interesting setup, and I'm very terrified of knocking into the microphone. Anyway, the first project that I want to, oh shoot, where did I put that? Right, it is the Sea Swell Snood by Nicole Coates. It is in this book, which is Shetland Wool Week Annual from 2021. And this is what the pattern looks like. I'll put a picture, because in the book I can't really show you an up close picture without revealing pattern details, but this is what it looks like. And yeah, I'll put a picture up. And I decided to do it using the same yarn as in the pattern and the same colors. And so I bought this yarn at the bottom, so the cream, the blue, and the green. The cream, so it's all Jameson's of Shetland wool. The cream is called 104 Natural White. The blue is called, let me see, 769 Willow. Oh, is it going to focus? There we go. And then the green is called 791 Pistachio. Right, so yeah, this is project number one that I bought yarn for at Jameson and Smith. It was at Jameson of Shetland. It was so nice in that store. The wall was covered with little buckets with all the colors that they have, and yeah, it was fantastic. The second project that I bought yarn for is a hat for Kyle, a Fair Isle hat. I told him that he could pick yarn for one, and I will make it for him as a sort of souvenir from our trip in Shetland. And so what he picked is a pattern that is also in that same book, and it is the Crofter's Cap, which is this pattern and he would like it in that blue color combination. So we got the yarn for that. Each, like a bunch of Shetland wool producers created the color palettes for all those hats, and it so happened that the blue one is yarn from Jameson of Shetland, and so we got that for him. And the yarn is right here. This beautiful, lovely color palette. So there's bits of yarn flying around everywhere because I have tried to swatch already. I will put the names of the various colorways in the description box below because I'm not going to go over all of them. But I have swatched, so I can show you what it looks like already. It's been really fun. It's my first time doing Fair Isle color work. I've never done it before, so the swatch was like to figure out gauge and also to learn, I guess. And this is what it looks like. And I'm so happy with it. I think it looks so great. I also kind of like that it's a nice little square, so I think I'm going to use it as a coaster afterwards. But yeah, yeah, it's really fun. I'm really enjoying it. I'm a little bit apprehensive about doing the corrugated ribbing, but I'm sure it'll be fine. It's just because it's something I haven't done before, so there's always a bit of, I don't know, anxiety or something, but yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. So yeah, I'm currently finishing up a sweater because that's a test knit and I have a deadline, but as soon as that is done, I will cast on this hat and hopefully all will go well. Wish me luck. The gauge was good. I got gauge, so that's good. So, and I had a lot of fun knitting the swatch, especially like I knit it in the round, so you have to like manage the strands going at the back, which is always a bit fiddly, I think. So, and if I manage to do that, I'm sure I'll be just fine. Knitting the hat in the round, and yeah, once again, if it's not perfect, Kyle is not going to notice, and it will be my first color work project, so I'm not going to be too hard on myself. So yeah, so that was the first two things that we bought, that I bought on Shetland when we went to Jameson's of Shetland. The third and fourth thing that I bought is when we went to Jameson and Smith, and that was also really great. Just watch the vlog if you want to see what we did there, but it was so much fun. And so I bought yarn to make another cowl. Apparently that's a theme. I just want to make cowls these days. Which, to be fair, like I don't have any knitted cowl. I have one, like a bit of a thin, flimsy one that I bought at Decathlon, which is like a sports strap if you're not in the UK or in Europe. And it's not the nicest, but I wear it all the time because it's so practical. So I definitely want to make myself like knitted cowls. And the first one that I bought yarn for is called The Fullest Nude by Donna Smith Design. She's a really lovely designer based on Shetland. She also has her own yarn, but the yarn that I got is from Jameson and Smith. So I will put a picture on the screen of what the pattern looks like, and in that pattern she uses a light gray yarn and a cream yarn, and this is what I was planning to use. But when we were at the shop, I saw this color which I absolutely fell in love with. Let me see if I can get it to focus. Yeah, there you go. It's like a dark gray green. It's so beautiful, and I really wanted to use that. This is the color FC46 mix. The thing is the cream, so I wanted to use that instead of the gray, but the cream was a bit too warm to go with it, so instead I went for the white, number 1 Optic White. And this is what it looks like, the two together. The camera is panicking a bit. Yeah, so I'm really excited about that. So that was project number 1 I got at Jameson and Smith. And then the second yarn that I got is this beautiful yarn. Let me hold it. This absolutely beautiful yarn. This is some brand new yarn that Jameson and Smith released especially for Shetland Wool Week this year, and now it is available on their website. It is a 5-ply or a sport weight yarn. If you know them, they usually, like, their main yarn is the 2-ply jumper weight, which is a fingering weight equivalent. And now they have this 5-ply sport weight, which I think could bloom into a light DK. That's what your pattern calls for. And yeah, so I'm really excited. I really wanted to pick up some skeins to try it out. I was going to go for the natural gray, but then I saw this rust twilight, which is lightly heathered, and I couldn't choose, so I got one of each, as you do. It is, so 5-ply Shetland 50-gram balls is 115 meters, so it's like, yeah, like a sport kind of DK kind of yarn that I'm really excited to work with. I think what I want to do with it, although I'm not 100% sure yet, is the Selbu Cow by Inga of Knitting Traditions. I think it would look very nice. It's Jameson Smith yarn, like Shetland wool, so I'm assuming it works really well for color work. And yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do with it when I find the time. No, I'm kidding. When I'm done with like my big projects that I'm working on right now. I have a bit of a feeling that the next few months are going to be very heavy in accessories knitting, but we'll see. So yeah, that is the second thing that we got at Jameson & Smith, and I'm so happy with it, and I can't wait to knit with it. Moving on, still in Shetland, I have 2 more acquisitions from there. One is, sorry, I have stuff in my throat, fiber probably. I mentioned Donna Smith Designs and said that she also has yarn, and during Wool Week she did a bit of an open studio kind of thing, and had a little setup at the front of her house with all her yarns and her yarn and her patterns and everything. And so I got yarn from her. I really wanted to go and get yarn from her shop, and it was in such a beautiful place on Shetland, and we went for a hike afterwards. It was lovely. It was a great day. And so the yarn that I got 3 skeins. The first 2 skeins came in this lovely bag because it is a kit, and this is the pattern. Another cow. Are you surprised at this point? This is called the Sunwick cow. She designed that, and she designed it in dark gray and light gray, but I decided to choose those colors instead. Let me flip that around. Those 2 beautiful colors instead. So the dark brown is the shade Morit, which is a natural undyed brown shade of sheep. If I can get it to focus. There we go, a little bit. And then the other one is the shade Light Stain, which is like a cool beige, I guess, like slightly heathered. Yeah, very beautiful. And I think they go really well together. So the yarn is DK. She had a bit of lace yarn spun for this year's Shetland Wool Week. I didn't get any lace because I don't really knit with lace, and I don't really know what to do with it. But otherwise her yarn is mostly DK, 220 meters per 100 grams. And it is very squishy, like very plump. I think you could, like, if your pattern called for worsted, you could also use that probably. And I think knit on like a small color work gauge is going to make it nice and dense and not let the wind go through and make it very warm. So I'm really excited. So that is 2 of the 3 skeins that I got from her. And the third one is, so those 2 were undyed, and the third one is the same base, the same DK yarn, but it is dyed, and it is this beautiful red. There you go. I'm sorry, I'm still trying to figure out how close I need to be to my camera for it to focus. And the color here is called Roost, dyed with Madder. And yeah, I absolutely love it. Once again, it is very plump and squishy. It is Shetland wool, which I don't find itchy. So I think with that I would like to make a hat. I'm thinking of the hipster hat by Petite Knit. Yeah, I'll see what I feel inspired by when I decide to start knitting with it. But I'm thinking it's going to be the hipster hat. I think I'm going to knit on that. I have 2 trips coming up at the end of November, the very beginning of December. We're going to Copenhagen and then Oslo, and we only have carry-on luggage. So I think I'm going to cast this on because I feel like that's an easy, small project to have. It takes it takes a bit of time to knit, but like it's good for a trip, and also I don't need to use like really long needles for it. Or I can use my small, like I have the mini Chalgu needle, so I can put those mini ones onto a longer cable for a hat, and usually that goes through the airport just fine. I find that when there's issues, it's not so much the fact that it's a needle, it's just the needle is too long for their requirement. But yeah, I think I should be fine traveling with that. So this is what I might take with me. That might be my traveling project, that and a pair of socks. Because obviously, like I said, we just have a carry-on. I'm not going to take a big project that's going to take space in my suitcase because, you get to have space to bring back yarn. So, yep. Anyway, so that is all I bought from Donna Smith. She was so lovely. It was great to meet her. She had the cutest little dog, and yeah, it was a wonderful time. And then the last thing that I got from Shetland is from a wool producer and crofter that I hadn't heard of them before. And they are called West Lynn or Linne, I don't know. And I got this yarn from them. It's a beautiful dark green. I got 2 balls. They're also Shetland wool. They're also DK, and they have about 110 meters per 50 grams. And what I want to make with it is the Windbound Mitts by Lindsay Fowler in her Salt and Timber book. I have it here. I forgot to bring it out, so I'll just put a picture because I'm not going to rummage through there. But yeah, I think that would be really great. I think the pattern calls for worsted yarn, but once again, I find this yarn to be very, very plump for a DK, so I think it will be just fine. Also, I think it's knit on like 3.5 millimeter needle to make it quite dense, so I'm sure I can get away with doing it in DK. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. I really, really love the color. This really dark, heathered green. I mean, you know me by now, like darker color, and especially like heather yarn is my absolute favorite. So yeah, that is all that I got. I mean, it's quite a bit, isn't it? That is all that I got on when I was on Shetland. Once again, absolutely amazing trip. We'll definitely go back. And if you want to see what I was up to, then go and watch the vlog. Moving on then to the third and last event that I went to this autumn, and this is Glasgow School of Yarn. So that was last weekend. I went with my husband, and my dad and my sister were visiting, so they came with us, which was really interesting. They don't knit. My dad crochets, but he usually he crochets a bit like utilitarian practical stuff, like oven mitts and things like that, and he mostly uses cotton. He doesn't know very much about wool. He also lives in the south of France, so he doesn't wear wool very much because it's way too warm. So yeah, and my sister doesn't knit at all. She doesn't crochet, she sews, so she knows fabric and sewing, but she doesn't really know wool, and neither of them had been to that kind of event before, so it was quite interesting. And also neither of them speak, my sister speaks decent English, but she doesn't know any of the vocabulary related to knitting and wool, and my dad doesn't speak English, so it was quite an interesting day for me, looking at things, chatting with the vendors and my friends that I met there, and also translating and explaining things to my family. And yeah, it was fun. I didn't stay very long, obviously, at the festival, just because it's not really my family was happy to come with me, but it's also not their thing, so I didn't want to have them just wait around for me for 3 hours. So I think we stayed maybe an hour and a half or something like that, which was great. And I got a few things, so I didn't need anything. There was nothing that I was oh, I want to get wool from that vendor, or I have this project that I'm looking for wool for. And I'm also very much aware that I'm going, like I just said, like to Denmark and Norway very soon, and there's definitely yarn that I want to get there, yarn that is not as easily accessible in the UK. And so I was like, I'm just gonna have a look around and see if there's something that I really like, I'll get it, and if not, that is fine. And so I did purchase something. I went to the Giddy Yarn booth, and I really love her sock yarn, her self-striping particularly. I've used a few of her colorways. I'm currently knitting on one. It's in the yarn bowl here. I don't know if you can see it. And yeah, I really like it. She's a yarn dyer based in Dundee, and she works primarily on like is for the sock yarn anyway on like 75/25 superwash nylon yarn, which, if you know me, like especially lately where I've been interested in no nylon non superwash yarn for socks, and if I knit all my garments in like rustic wools, I don't really use hand dyed for my garments. You might be surprised that I would want to buy superwash yarn to knit with, but I like I've said before, I don't have anything against superwash yarn or nylon or yarn that contains nylon, and I do love it for socks as well. I think it's really fun. The colorways are really fun, and I really like, especially like Giddy Yarns, I really like it. So I got a little sock set from her that looks like this. If the camera will focus, maybe. I think there we go. It is really pretty. Oh, I'm still trying to find the sweet spot where it will focus, but yeah, it is this really pretty yarn. It is a sock set, and what I like about Helen, I think her name is, from Giddy Yarn, is that a lot of her colorways are inspired by books and by stories. And this year she had a whole collection about the Beatrix Potter books, and this specific colorway is the one inspired by the Tale of Jeremy Fisher. What I also really like about Giddy Yarns is that she does 50-gram sock sets. So instead of having a 100-gram main skein, you get a 50-gram one and then your 20-gram mini, which for me, for my socks, I'm a UK size like 6.5, or like a European size like 39-40 is enough. It is exactly what I need. I usually have maybe like a small ball of like 2 grams left. And I love it. I absolutely love it because I don't really have any leftovers, because if I used a 100-gram skein of yarn for my socks, then I have half of it left, and I don't usually want to knit another pair of identical socks, and so I don't use it, and it's like takes space in my room. And yeah, so I absolutely love that she does that. I think a few dyers are doing this now, but she's the first one that I heard of who was doing those smaller sock set, and I absolutely love it. So yeah, so I got this beautiful yarn to make socks. I can't wait to cast that on. It's going to be just simple vanilla sock, and I love it. I just love it. And then another thing is that I didn't get, but that was gifted to me. So my dad gifted me some yarn when we were there. We were looking together at the stall of Wee County Yarn, who makes the famous Kinross 4-ply. I'm sure you've heard it. Many podcasters have used it. Many of the Scottish podcasters have used it, and it's lamb's wool, and it's so soft. And they have this beautiful colorway called Pine Scott, and I've had my eye on for a long time, and I just don't know what to do with it just yet. I don't have a project, so I was telling that to my. I was like, oh, I really like this yarn, but I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. So I'm just gonna wait. Like, they're here at every festival, so I'll just buy it when I have a project in mind. And then he came back and surprised me with 4 skeins of it. So here you have it. I'm gonna try it. This color is really hard to show on camera. I think it's kind of okay actually now. It's like a dark teal blue kind of color, going towards the green. And yeah, it's so beautiful, and I absolutely love it. So like I said, the shade is Scots Fine, and each skein is 50 grams of lamb's wool, 4-ply, 205 meters per 50 grams. Yeah. And so I didn't really know what I was going to do with it. Like, 4 skeins is 200 grams is not enough for a garment for me. I was thinking of making a set of like mittens and either a hat or a cowl. And so I asked on Instagram for people's recommendation. I still need to go through the answers that I got, but Some people recommended doing the penny gloves, or like Vinicia of the Wool Knit podcast, which I'm sure you know. She made a pair of penny gloves, I think, in that, and it's so soft and it looks amazing. And I was like, oh, that looks really nice. And then she suggested maybe doing a Musselburgh hat to go with it. So it's both like two accessories that match because the yarn is the same and they're also like simple stockinette, which I think is a great idea and definitely one that I will consider. Something else that I was thinking about was to hold it double and make the Hiedra set by Fiber Tales, so the headband and the fingerless mittens. I have made the headband before and I absolutely love it. I wear it all the time in winter, especially when I go running. I go running several times a week, and in winter here it's like you kind of want something on your head, but I find that when I go running I get warm really quickly, and so wearing a hat or a beanie, it's just I get way too hot way too quickly. However, a headband is absolutely perfect. So the other one that I have, I just wear it all the time for running, and I figured I could make another one in this beautiful blue yarn with the matching mittens. And then I have yarn to make her grow shawl, like a light gray yarn that I want to cast on, I think in December. And so I was thinking like this lovely light gray shawl with the headband and the mitten, wouldn't that look really nice? I think it would. So I might do that, but I would very much like it if you know of a hat or headband and mitten set, either that they've been designed as a set or two that you think would go really well together. If you would write it down in the comments below, because I would love to explore more options for this yarn. But yeah, so I'm very excited to finally have a bit of Kinross four-ply, and I'm very grateful that my dad gifted this to me. And yeah, I'm kind of happy to have it because now like I was gifted a certain amount, and so I can like move on to deciding on a pattern, because I feel like I was a bit stuck and like I really want to use this yarn, I don't know what for. And I was kind of like in that limbo, and I was like, oh, maybe like once I find a pattern or whatever. But doing it the other way around, where I have a set quantity and I'm like, okay, I find a pattern for the quantity that I have, is actually quite nice. So yeah, that is the last of my acquisition from Glasgow School of Yarn and my knitting plans for the yarn that I bought there. And I think we have reached the end of this video. That is all I have to show you, which is a fair amount. And yeah, I'm excited to cast all those projects on over the next few months. Obviously it's going to take a while to knit through all this yarn, but yeah, it's lovely yarn. It's yarn that comes with great memories as well of when it was purchased and who I was with when I purchased it, and where I was and things like that. So I think it will bring me a lot of joy to knit those yarns. And yeah, I think I will leave you there instead of continue rambling. And the next video will be a podcast. I have so much to show you. I'm hoping to record that in the next week or so, if I can. Work has been insanely busy, which I'm very grateful for. Like, I'm not complaining at all, but it has been very busy, which hasn't left me a lot of time to record a video. But yeah, and I have some exciting things happening in the shop for the festive season and the lead up to Christmas that I can't wait to talk to you about. So yeah, I will see you in the next one. Thank you again very much for watching. Thank you again very much for your lovely comments on my Shetland vlog. I will try do my best to vlog the trips to Copenhagen and Oslo that are coming up. And yeah, that's it. That is enough. I have to stop talking. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one. Happy knitting.